On this episode of Starbase Update, Ship 24 and Booster 7 continue getting worked on in preparation for their first orbital launch attempt, and as always, work continues on the OLM. Where'd it go? Did it fly? No way! It flew! Woohoo! Well, I guess now that it flew, we can finally start talking about what's happening next here at Starbase as they continue to clean up and fix the orbital launch mount and the ground support equipment at Stage 0. Let's get into it. This week was actually fairly quiet at the OLM as a lot of crews were working on inspecting and making sure that the OLM is still safe to be in and work around. But it seems like something must be safe because they got a lot of crews over there right now digging out concrete and making it so that maybe we can fly again in 1 to 2 months. At least that's what Elon is hoping. We shall see if that timeline continues to hold. While there is certainly a ton of carnage on Stage 0, a lot of it does seem to be directed at the concrete and a lot less at the steel, which I think is a major win. The concrete underneath the pad has obviously been vaporized and distributed across most of South Texas, but of the amount that is still left there, SpaceX is working on repairing it, and they're filling in some dirt right now with little loaders. Assuming there are actually issues with the orbital tank farm, that will be the sticking point in my ever so humble opinion as far as the next orbital launch attempt that they might do out of here. They will need to make sure that the ground support equipment, the GSC, is completely up to snuff before they attempt to do really any testing on the orbital launch mount. We can see a lot of major dents on the orbital tank farm, which is not a good thing. It's unclear if SpaceX can just repair the cosmetic damage on the outer tank or if there are more substantial issues. Only time will tell, and we'll be keeping our eyes very peeled for whatever SpaceX does with those tanks. More really good news is the Chopsticks. The Chopsticks have lowered all the way down to their lowest position, and they've put in, or gone in, whatever. What is this motion called? I don't know. Now, it hasn't really been seen if SpaceX would really trust the Chopsticks in their current state with the drawworks and the condition that it is after being nuked by those 30 Raptor engines. But hopefully, the repairs will be easy and quick, and we'll be back to lifting with the Chopsticks soon enough. Continuing on down at the production site, SpaceX has actually not given anyone a break, including us. They've been keeping us very busy down at the production site, keeping an eye on everything that is going on down there. They rolled out Ship 27 and they rolled it into the rocket garden. It's unclear what exactly the current condition of Ship 27 is. Ship 27, again, is that tileless vehicle, the sister ship to Ship 26. And it is now in the rocket garden, taking the place of where Ship 24 was in the center of the Starship trio. Since 27 has rolled out to the rocket garden, we can assume that most of the large construction pieces of that vehicle have been completed. Now, we don't really know what the future of either Ship 26 or Ship 27, or honestly any of the Starships around here, will be, but from flight documents that we have seen, it looks like Ship 26 or 27 may be up next. Ship 27 does not have its payload dispenser door sealed quite yet, which means, in theory, Ship 27 might be the first Starship to deliver useful payload to orbit, please, sometime soon. Please. A red letter date in the Starbase annals is going to be Ship 28 using the new lifting rig to be rotated around and spun around inside the high bay. This is the first time we have seen a fully stacked and configured Starship not need the nose cone attachment squid that we've seen previously. This will allow SpaceX to manipulate these Starships with just the current lifting pins underneath the forward flaps. This is going to be a huge win. As we've seen, they had to do a little bit of extra work to take off those lifting points from the nose cone of the Starship 24 before it flew, and hopefully in the future, we won't need those forward lifting pins anymore. This jig test did seem to be successful, and the Starship lifting apparatus is sitting in front of the Starlink building at the production site. We've seen concrete chunks over 3,000 feet away from the center of the OLM, meaning that the whole area here is just strewn with concrete, which is honestly kind of cool to me, but SpaceX, as they are having to clean it all up, is going to be less excited about all of those chunks of concrete. Keep in mind, as you're looking around in the dunes, if you happen to be here in Starbase, unfortunately, there are no pieces of Ship 24 or Booster 7 because they made it to the Gulf of Mexico. Focusing more on those dented tanks behind me, the two that have the most dents are actually, thankfully, water tanks that do not have that center 9-meter tank. They are just the large 12-meter water tank. it's actually not that big of a deal because they're not currently leaking, which perhaps they're empty, but you know, it's just a water tank. Pop it back out and stick some Flex Seal on it and call it a day. The tank that is concerning us the most is the LOX tank, which unfortunately we did see venting quite a bit uncontrollably after the launch attempt. That does mean there's probably gonna be some more extensive repairs required for that LOX tank before it can be refilled safely again. As far as the OLM legs, they look worse for wear, I'd say, but thankfully we've seen them in this condition many a times before, basically after every single booster static fire test. As those Raptors rumble and tumble, the paint gets peeled off of those metal OLM legs, and after a few days, the harsh environment out here by the beach causes those to rust. All the SpaceX needs to do is sand off some of the rust and slap some more paint on, and I think the OLM legs will be just fine. The booster quick disconnect also seems to have taken the flight very well and doesn't show much sign of damage. Thank you QD Hood for quickly moving into place. The ship quick disconnect arm also looks like it's pretty good as well, although unfortunately we can't take all of the close inspections that SpaceX can, so a lot of this is just us looking with big lenses and saying, hey, is it still straight? And well, it is. So hopefully not too many of the electronics were fried. Now, unfortunately, the only casualties I can confirm at this time are definitely the LOX and methane recondensers. Both of them were exposed pretty much directly to the full thrust of the flying chunks of concrete, and just like our van, they didn't survive all that well. But I don't think that's gonna stop SpaceX, as they probably got a few more of those sitting around. The most important entity at the launch pad during launch was Starhopper. Starhopper, I am proud to announce, she survived. She got a little bit of skin taken off of her by the chunks of concrete and steel flying by, but overall seems to be doing her job of being the best photographer and weather station at Starbase. In preparation for many more weeks of work continues on the OLM coverage from NSF, SpaceX has added that new yellow crane. That yellow crane will likely be here to lift materials up and down from the OLM and the surrounding ground support equipment as they make the necessary repairs for their next launch attempts. On the booster side, Booster 11 is almost nearly completely stacked in the Mega Bay, and it will be continuing to grow. That is making 3 almost complete Starship launch vehicles, including the ship and the booster. That's 26, 27, and 28, and 9, 10, and 11. Now, 28 and 11 are not yet finished, but they're pretty close, and we wouldn't be surprised if SpaceX unfortunately needs to start scrapping things because it's getting a little crowded over there. And finally, SpaceX did add those stairs back that they had added and then removed, and maybe they'll add them and remove them again, but SpaceX has added those likely to allow crews easy access up to the top of the OLM as work continues on the OLM. I've been Nick with NASA Spaceflight. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below on whether or not we'll be flying in 1 to 2 months like Elon has predicted. Or is that just a bunch of Elon time? Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.